Welcome back to WCB Jazz Vinyl. So I wanted to give you an update on one of my New Year's resolutions that got a lot of attention when I talked about it at the beginning of the year, and that is I'm selling off 500 titles from my collection. So what I wanted to do today is talk a little bit about the status of that effort, when you can expect these to hit eBay, and then I want to show you some of the titles that are going to be featured in the auctions as well. Without further ado, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can head over to Instagram, follow me at what_can_brown. Maybe even more important now to do those things, because once these auctions hit eBay, I'm going to make sure to notify everybody, and so it's the best way to stay up to date on what's going on. All right, so this week I have, fortunately or unfortunately, been recovering from a cold, and I'm trying to get better because I have a trip to New York coming up this weekend, going to go to the Village Vanguard. But that aside, what getting sick has allowed me to do is put a little bit more focus on pulling out these titles that I'm going to include. So just to refresh your memory, because you may not have seen this video that I made at the beginning of the year, what I did is I made my New Year's resolutions, and one of those resolutions was I wanted to pick a large number of records to cull from my collection. So one of the reasons was simply to have that kind of challenge. The other was, well, and I guess to expand on that, to know that I could. Like if at some point I actually needed to sell records, because I don't really need to sell my records, I wanted to know that I could do that I could go through the process of pulling them all out. The other one, and probably more importantly, I just have too many records. You know, I've cataloged everything in Discogs. I've got like 3,400 records, and it's too many. I'm not going to listen to all of them. And I thought, surely there are 500 records on these shelves that I don't need to listen to anymore, that I don't need to own. And maybe at some point I'll rebuy one or two of them. I mean, it's possible. But I just, I wanted to go through the effort of doing this to simply make more room, because I'm not going to slow down. I'm not really showing any signs of slowing down in terms of purchases. And in fact, if anything, I'm buying a lot more new stuff lately, at least compared to, say, a year plus ago when I started this channel. So those are two reasons. And then the third was actually the money aspect, right? Get some money in, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice to throw some of the proceeds towards a new turntable? So my two of my New Year's resolutions kind of come together, right? Sell the records in order to buy the new turntable. So where am I in this process, right? Well, out of 500 records, which was the goal, I am currently at 416. And I'm expecting to fill out the remainder of that, or the difference, by the end of this week. So that's my goal, so that in February I can start listing these things. So 500 records. At the moment, I will say 56 of them are 10-inch records, and the rest are planned to be 12-inch records. How I am going about listing these, as I've already alluded to, is eBay. Now, I know that a lot of folks who want to participate, who might want to buy some of these records, are not going to like the fact that it's eBay for a couple of reasons. One is it's competitive, right? So this idea that the market gets to determine what the cost of an album is versus me, or say a negotiation one-on-one to determine what the cost of a record is. So that's one reason. And then the other certainly is shipping. And that's more of a reason for, or more of an issue for folks who are international. And while I acknowledge that, I also have to apologize, because I'm not, here's the thing. I've been selling on eBay since 2001, just not always records. Selling internationally has traditionally been a huge headache. And I understand that there's import taxes and VAT and declared value and all these things that make purchasing records from the US very expensive for those of you who live internationally. And I understand that. The problem is a couple of things. One is that going outside of eBay to put together shipping labels is really cumbersome. The potential for the items to, not arrive at their destination, or for the person on the other end to say that they haven't arrived, is very high. And then there's no one to go to contest and, get a refund. In fact, I would say many times where I've dealt one-on-one with individuals based outside of the United States, outside of eBay, selling them records, many times I've had to not only forfeit the item, but also the price, because I think that there's a lot of scams. And so I really like eBay and PayPal being the arbiter for any of the issues that come about, because there's protection both for the buyer as well as the seller. So the other reason is, listen, I work in the shipping industry, and the number of times that I have people ask me, oh, can you not put the actual value of the item on here so that I don't have to pay the import taxes? It's like not only is it illegal, it's also like very problematic given the industry that I'm in. So I'm not, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And so for me to do this above board and also make it easy to actually part with 500 records, the only way I can do it is eBay. That's just the only way. The other problem is like dealing with individuals. Like, here's the thing, everybody wants a deal, and I get it. Everybody wants to get a record for the least amount possible. Invariably, what happens is for an individual record, there will be an inordinate amount of back and forth discussion about grading. There'll be videos, like I'll have to play the record front to back, send them videos, talk about what I hear, what I don't hear, only for the person to maybe move forward or more likely back out or say, yes, I want it, but I can't pay you for a few weeks. Like, listen, I just can't deal with any of that at all. It's 500 records. I need to get rid of these things. I want to sell them on eBay. The one thing that I will tell you is that my auctions never go for nearly as much as Funk You Sounds or Carolina Soul. Like, my stuff for some reason goes for like way less than even what I think that they're worth. So in some ways, you're getting a deal anyway by simply me being the one to list them. Because here's the thing, I don't list records very often. I usually wait and do it once a year. And so there's not a lot of eyes on my auctions, and you're going to think, oh, but now it's on YouTube. Like, listen, there's so many more people who are watching these other bigger shop auctions and willing to get into bidding wars on all of those titles. That's never, ever happened to me. A lot of stuff I come out of it thinking like, man, I thought I could have gotten double that price or something like that. So there will be plenty of deals to be had across these 500 records. And I have a 100% feedback rating, which, let's see if that remains after this 500 batch. I've never sold more than like 50 at a time. So we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to doing this. So one other word about shipping is I am going to, and actually how I'm staging these auctions, I'm going to do it in 5 blocks. This is what I'm planning right now. We'll see if that changes, and I'll keep people posted. I'm planning 5 blocks of auctions, so 100 items at a time, and they'll be open for just those 100 items, and then there will be, say, a gap where what I'm doing is collecting money and packaging these things up and shipping them, and then I'll list the next block and so on. What I do not want to do is carry over purchases and hold them for people across blocks. Now, I know that is more convenient for some of those folks, again, especially internationally, but what ends up happening because of experience, I've done this too many times, this is what happens. Somebody buys a few records, they later decide in a future block of auctions that they want more records, which is fine, and it keeps going till the very end, and then they say, oh, there's some of those earlier records that I don't want anymore because I bought all these other records and now I want these and not these. I can't deal with any of this stuff. I just, like, the problem is that I've been there. It's not that I'm trying to be inflexible. It's just that I've been there and I can't deal with these headaches when you're talking about this many records, the fact that I have a day job, like, this is a monumental effort even for me to even just list these. So what I'm going to do is hopefully by separating it into these 100 blocks, that will give people enough of an ability to win multiple items and be able to take advantage of combined shipping for those records that are in that 100 block. And then we'll sort of not cancel those out, but we'll clear those from the books. Like, I will get paid and I will ship the records, and then we're going to start with the next group. So I'm sorry that I'm using eBay, but it's painful process, but it's the least painful way for me to do this. All right, so now the fun part. I'm going to just go through some of the albums. I'm not going through 500. I'm going to go through like 20 or something. And I'm just going to show them to you and be like, hey, this is some of the stuff that we have for sale, or that I have for sale. So first up, if you're wondering what 500 records looks like that are getting ready for auction, or really 416, as I mentioned, I've got them in 2 places. So one is a closet that's across the hall from my listening room. And in that closet, I've got all the 10 inches, and I've got just a ton of LPs that are in there that are kind of like waiting for their pictures and like, you know, for me to make this a part of the listing. And then the other place is, funnily enough, inside the listening room on the floor in the corner, that I have them like piled up as well. And like this is exactly why I need to get rid of them, because if you look around otherwise in my room, there's not a whole lot of room on any of these shelves, right? They're all full. And so the fact that I was still able to get 500 records and the shelves still look full, that's a problem. So that's why I'm getting rid of these. So some of the titles that I'm getting rid of, they kind of span a couple of different things. Some of them are modern reissues, some of them are brand new music, and then some of them are like those vintage pressings. I am very much an original pressing collector, so what you'll find is that if it is not distinctly a very modern pressing, it's very likely a first pressing. And obviously, I tend to do a good job with understanding what's first and what's second, and I'll be putting all the details in the auctions. So for example, one of the titles that I have that I'm going to be putting up for sale is this music of Charlie Parker, recorded by Cecil Payne's group. This is on the Signal label. I don't think this copy. Here's the thing: like some of these titles that I picked for certain reasons. The reason why I picked this is I don't think it's in that great of shape, and that's why I'm getting rid of it. But guess what? Records that aren't in great shape tend to go for really, for not a lot of money at all. And this is kind of a iconic album, and it's difficult to find. So I think it'll still be worthwhile for somebody. Another one, and I actually think this is in good shape. That's kind of just a random. It's like an oddball one because it's on the Rama label, is Locking Horns. So this is Joe Newman and Zoot Sims, Oscar Pettiford. It's pretty unusual. This was actually reissued on a different label. It might have been Argo, I'm trying to remember. But getting this in its original form on Rama is pretty unusual. So I do have some stuff that's like difficult to find, that doesn't come up very often, that I've decided that I just don't listen to enough. Here's another one, and because of the great cover, I'll make sure to take it out of the sleeve. So this is I'm Still Swinging by Joe Newman. Now, I understand that Joe Newman is not the most popular of musicians these days, but this is a Andy Warhol cover, and it happens to be in really great shape. It's actually the reason why I initially bought it, is because of the cover. Even though, don't get me wrong, the music's great. It's Al Cohn, Irby Green, Gene Quill. It's a decent lineup, but I just really love the cover, and that was one of the reasons why I originally picked it up. So back to Signal, I've got this copy of Duke Jordan's release on Signal, which is kind of fun. I also think that there may be some condition issues with that, but again, like a lot of these are going to be in great shape, but there's definitely going to be some that are like it's gonna run the gamut, right, of conditions. So I picked out a couple of Alice Coltrane titles that I just don't really listen to, and I know that there's a lot of folks that are getting annoyed with how expensive Alice Coltrane's stuff is, and so they're kind of gravitating to some of these titles. But so here you have Transcendence, just don't really listen to it that much anymore, and then Transfiguration is another one that I'll be listing. Let's see, this is difficult to manage here. Don't worry, I have some more exciting titles coming up. So Sonny Rollins, The Bridge, fantastic shape on that one. The only reason I'm getting rid of it is because I already have another one that's in fantastic shape. Same thing here, Deaf, Dumb, and Blind. This is an original pressing. Already got another one. I have so many duplicates, right? Because I'm always upgrading in terms of condition. And so I just have so many duplicates that are making up a good portion of this list of 500, which is why I would say I was able to get to like 250 really easily, because of a lot of duplicates, and then it got a little bit more hard because I was like, I'm actually parting with these records permanently. But I've got some nice Impulse stuff. I've got a McCoy Tyner Nights of Ballads and Ballads and Blues, and Orange labels. Is this Ampar? It's ABC Paramount. I wonder if that is. I think that's right. I forget what the crossover was for this title. That may still be an original. Here's an interesting one that's sealed. So this is What Would It Be Without You by Joe Lee Wilson and Bond Street. So this is on Rashid Ali's label, which is called something. It's definitely called something. I just can't remember what it's called. And it's sealed. This has never been played. I found it in a shop, and then I was like, well, I have to get it because it wasn't very expensive. And then I previewed it, and I was like, I don't really need this. So here's a fun one. This is Booker Ervin's Groovin' High with Carmel Jones. I believe that this is a Blue Trident label. I believe that that's original for this particular title. And I'm sure it's in good shape, and I know that I have another copy. So here's another Impulse. Got Inception by McCoy Tyner Trio. More Alice, right? Journey in Sachidananda, featuring Pharoah Sanders. And again, I do indeed have another copy of that. This is a duplicate, the Chris Anderson Trio on Jazzland. I've got a bunch of like duplicate Blue Notes. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of them are later Liberty era, not as exciting, but there's a few that are exciting. This is one that, even though it's later Liberty era, I still think is exciting. The incredible Jimmy Smith, I'm Moving On. The reason why I think it's exciting is because Grant Green's on it. And those, it always elevates a Jimmy Smith session. Here's one that I just found the other day and realized that I do indeed already have another copy of it. Gene Shaw's Carnival Sketches. This is on Argo. If you don't know Gene Shaw, he, I think, kind of got his start playing with Mingus under a different name. He was performing under Clarence Shaw, and anyway, he kind of changed his name later, went by Gene, and recorded like 3 albums for Argo that are fantastic. So here's an exciting one that will get a lot of attention. This is Grant's First Stand, and this is an original mono pressing, and it's in pretty good shape, I believe. And we'll have to, I'll double check offline, but I think, well, it's here, it's right here. So actually, if you bear with me, it's just difficult to manage doing it quote unquote live. Let me take a quick look. And I mean, okay, there's one short mark that might be slightly feelable. Again, I'll put all the details in the actual auction for all of these. I also have an original Soul Stern by Benny Green. Condition issues on that one, but again, I have another copy. Here's a nice one, Reaching Forth, McCoy Tyner Trio. This one might end up being the one that goes for the most amount of money, but I'll obviously let the market determine that. This is The Story of Moondog, Prestige 7099. This is an original pressing, another Andy Warhol cover. And it's, one of those like obscenely rare titles, and funnily enough, it's a duplicate. And it's in great shape. Like, it's in really good shape. So I'm looking forward to selling that one. Miles Davis, obviously the original cover coloring on this one. And so, yeah, it's a 446 West 50th. I've got some, I guess the last couple that I'm going to share are ones that are like very recent ones that I just don't think are going to get too many repeated listens. So this was a recent Vinyl Me Please title. I've got a bunch of Vinyl Me Please titles in here, not because I don't like their editions, but typically what happens is that if it's something I already have an original of, I end up choosing to keep the original. This is Rudolph Johnson's Spring Rain. So this is one of those Real Gone reissues that doesn't go for very much, to be honest. But when I got my free titles in through Vinyl Me Please's subscription renewal, I ended up having to fill it with stuff that I already had because there wasn't enough for me to choose. And so I ended up getting some of these. And then one other one that, this is funny, I pre-ordered it. Forgot I pre-ordered it again. And so now I have 2 copies of the Parable of the Poet. This is just a really great album, and it's sealed because I already have another copy, and I just mistakenly got a second one. So I guess what I'm getting at with showing you some of these is that it kind of runs the gamut. There are going to be lesser stuff, like there are going to be some, MJQ Atlantic records, right? But there's also going to be obscure stuff. There's going to be sealed new stuff. There's going to be, a little bit of higher dollar stuff as well. Not as much as I would like. What I'm trying to target now in order to take myself from 416 titles up to 500 is to try to find some of those more expensive ones that I just admittedly don't listen to. It's just hard to do because as much as you want the money from them, it's like, oh, but if I ever have to buy that again, what am I going to have to pay? So I'm going through that thought process in my head. I would like to put in some more higher end stuff, but again, there already are some higher end stuff in here. So for those folks who are interested in getting that stuff, it's great. If you're interested in the stuff that's going to go for like, $7, typically I start my auctions off at $7 unless it's a title that I'm like, no, this thing's wrecked. But if you want some of the cheaper stuff, you will have the ability to pick some of that stuff up too. All right, so that's kind of the update that I wanted to provide. Just really quickly, where I am with these auctions. I do anticipate having the first block starting in February, and don't worry, I'll reference it in a future video when it's going to go live. In the meantime, I will put my eBay handle. I'll do it earlier in the video, but then I'll do it now as well, so that you can write that down or go and follow it, so that you know when I start listing. I'm excited to do this, both because I want these records out of the house, because I don't listen to them. Also, because I want that money, because money's fun. But so that I can start shopping for a turntable. So that's kind of where I'm at. I hope this is a helpful update, especially for those of you who are looking to potentially pick some of these up. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Put your comments in the comments, either about my lack of flexibility with how I'm selling these, or about the titles that I'm including. And we'll go from there. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you next time.